Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Happy Friday. Let me know if you're here joining me. I think I've got a little lull in this. Let's see. Our power went off. There it is. I see it. I see it now. Our power went off and it's super duper cold out there, and that meant I didn't have my internet, so I was like, oh goodness. So I'm glad that it's back up and going. Hey Debbie, it's good to see you here. I'm glad you're here. I have a fun project for us. Hello Sherry, I'm glad you're here too. So if I did all the buttons correctly, you should see this live stream on the Pam Coxwell Designs Facebook page and my YouTube channel, and it should be showing up in our Jingle Mingle group. And so the reason I wanted to share this, I see it with our Jingle Mingle friends, is because it's rapidly approaching and it's so much fun. So for those of you who are new and not really familiar with what in the world am I talking about, Jingle Mingle started a couple of years ago as a collaboration with some business buddies. And we started it as a Christmas in July thing, and it was a hit. And so then we decided, well, let's do a spring Jingle Mingle. So the following year we did a spring, and we did a fall. So it just kind of snowballed, and it has been so much fun. And I think everybody that watches enjoys it. Those of us putting it together enjoy it. So it's just a win-win. So in the very first one, the little tagline thing is cut the chaos out of Christmas, and how we can start early working on Christmas things so that we can enjoy Christmas season and not feel so rushed. So we can kind of compare that to winter. So right now, I think it's pretty much a consensus. It's cold everywhere right now. And a lot of people have snow and super cold temperatures. So I think there's a lot of us that are longing for spring. Do you agree? Are you ready for spring and for the flowers and the blooms and the warmth? So we could do a similar thing. We can, during this cold time, we can get cozy and warm and be creative so that when we are ready to put those spring decorations out, we've already started on them. So think of it like that. We're prepping for spring, and that's much like how spring works anyway. If you think about it, in the winter, everything looks so dead, but there's a lot of work going on underground, a lot of work. So we can kind of be doing that now with our creativity and creating our spring stuff. So Sherry, yes, I am. Yes, you can find me at Pam Coxwell Designs. I don't think I have the link handy, but I'll try and get it in here for y'all. All right. So what I wanted to talk to you about, because I know a lot of you have ordered a kit from me for my project, and thank you. Thank you very much. I'm excited about this project. And so let me just tell you what the project is. I know for some of you, you already know what the project is, but let me just tell you, okay? So I designed this. This is a mixed media project. And so for those who don't know, mixed media is when you use more than one medium in a painting or a project. So I have a hard time sticking to just one thing. I love watercolor. A lot of my work is in watercolor. And I also love acrylic. I also like combining all of them. So most of the projects that I teach are usually mixed media or they're lettering. And for those who are new, you can find me on Tuesdays and Fridays at noon Central Time over there on my page. and doing some sort of something fun. Tuesdays we do lettering and scripture journaling, and on Friday do mixed media painting. Sometimes it's tips, sometimes it's a project like today. So I see some more joining me. I'm glad to see y'all. Laurie and Johnette, glad y'all are there, and Connie. So the way I designed this is, because this is kind of how my brain works. If you don't, I just love things to work together. And so I've been licensing my artwork for about, I think 6 years maybe. So you will find some of my artwork at Hobby Lobby. Right now, I think I've got about 5 different designs. That's the most I've had at one time. So I'm very thankful for that. I also have worked for Kirkland's. So that has trained me to do things in collections. And I kind of think like that anyway. So I usually don't do just one of something. I usually do a collection, a family of them, so that you can either group it together as a collection and make a really pretty display or vignette. I tend to use the word display because I did shows for so many years and love to build a beautiful display to attract people to come into my booth. And we can do the same thing in our home. You can create a beautiful display in your home and to attract people to look closer. And for those who like to incorporate scripture, old hymns, or words of encouragement, it's just a beautiful way to plant little seeds of truth and seeds of encouragement to the people who come into your home. Or you could do it at your office. You can make little vignettes on your desk. If you're like me and you constantly need to keep renewing your mind to get the right perspective, refresh your heart, I like to have scripture and quotes everywhere. I went to visit a friend earlier this week, and she had a beautiful, beautiful painting of a pasture with some sheep. And I could just feel tears coming to my eyes, and I couldn't figure out why. But it reminded me of where that desire was planted into my heart. We used to have a Christian bookstore called Lighthouse Christian Bookstore, I think is what it's called. And that's where I first saw artwork, beautiful artwork that would include scripture. And I can remember that was 30 years ago, probably, looking at that and thinking, I wished I could have stuff like that in my house. But those paintings were very expensive. They were much more than I could afford. And I would see the cards, the greeting cards that would have artwork and scripture verses on them. And I was just so drawn to it. And do y'all remember the little pass it on cards, little business card size things that would have scripture verses or a cute little cartoon and encouraging word? I would just love to be in that store and walk around and look at all the things in there. And I think what that was doing unknowingly was it was just feeding my heart and my mind, but it was also feeding a desire. I would love to be able to do that. And now all these years later, I seeing that painting and being reminded of that and like, Lord, thank you for allowing me to do this. I take it for granted. I get tired and drained. But when I remember all those years ago, seeing the artwork with scripture, and I want to be able to have this in my home. I want to be able to make this for other people who are like me and couldn't afford the big paintings. So he has given me the desire of my heart. So just wanted to share that because that was very fresh. That happened, I think it was Wednesday night. So just wanted to share that. He sees the desires of your heart and he's working it out. So with all of that backstory, let me get back to what I was talking about. This is interchangeable. So we're going to paint the background piece. I left it like this so you could see that little wooden little block. It's a little dowel, and the black part is actually Velcro. So I designed this because once I drew out this window, my wheels really started turning, because I was looking at reference pictures of, I love old Tuscany style houses and doors and windows. So earlier this year in January, I did an open house and painted an old door, a style of door with the cobblestones. So I thought I would love to do a window in that style. So that's what this is. So the more I was looking at the different reference photos for how to do the windows and the shutters and the blocks and the bricks and all of that, I thought, oh, I want to do more than one of these. And my ideas started just really multiplying then. So that's whenever I decided, wouldn't it be so cool if I could make this interchangeable, so that whenever, this is the spring window. So as we're exiting out of spring and we start entering into summer, we can change it out to a summer window with some fun colors for summer. I'm excited about it. And then when that season comes to an end and we're start prepping for fall, I could just visualize this decorated for fall. So we would do a fall window and then a Christmas window. It's going to be so much fun. So, but first, we got to do the first window. And before we can do the window, we need to do the wall. I'm calling this the wall. Hey, Miss Sue, I'm glad to see you and Karen and Wendy and Brenda here. Okay, so let me tell you one other thing. I see April too. So if you ordered a kit, you already know this. Thank you. But you received a flat 9x12 canvas in your kit. And we do, Brandy told me yesterday, we do have a few more of those left that we can put together and send out. So if you didn't get one and you want to get one, you still can. I put the link in the comments. So the original one that I created was larger. So this is the original one that I created. And it's on a 12x12, one of those thin boards. And so with this is what it looks like. But the more I worked on it, I started feeling concerned that it might be too big. I didn't know, but I really like this size. And you could, even if you wanted to, put a hole in there and use it as a, as a decoration on your door, like a, I wouldn't use it outside, but on the inside as a door thing. What do you call it? Door hanger. So this is how it's originally meant. So let me see if I can line it back up. And so I had it with the riser because I love things to be dimensional. And so I did a backup plan. Hey, Marilyn, I'm glad you're here. So I changed my plan and went down to a 9x12 so that it wouldn't take up quite as much room. And I left it so that if you wanted to do the 12x12, we've got that as an option. So when you go to look at the kit, you're going to see, I think it's worded window complete kit with the 9x12 or window complete kit plus the 12x12. So that way, for those of you who want to do a larger one, you can add this 12x12 to your kit and we'll send it to you. And then one other thing that I did different this time is with this kit, it includes the color palette. Like, I love to put together color palettes. I love it. So these are, this part, the window is watercolor. And I like to color coordinate things. And so I usually put together a paint sampler. And that way, if you wanted to do the, wanted to use my colors or test them out, these are artist grade colors, then you could test it out. So this is in the kit, and that's what I used to create the window. Yeah, Marla, it happened after. So you can still get the 12 by 12. We can send one to you if you want to get that. I think it happened whenever I was showing everybody this one. So I love the paint dots too, Sherry. And so the last thing about the kit is a lot of my members have some of these items already, and they just want to get the paint dots. So that's also an option. They like to just get the paint dots. So this particular kit, though, the full kit includes the paint dots. It includes a neo color. I use those all the time in my artwork, and I think the color that it includes, and of course I don't have one right here, is red. I think it's scarlet red. It's a really pretty shade of red. It's kind of a primary red. I think it might have the pencil too. I can't remember, but the description is on the website, and I've got the link in the comments. So all of that to say, now, whenever it's my turn to teach my lesson on March I think it's the 6th, whatever that Friday is, when it's my turn, I need to keep it within an hour. And y'all know I have a hard time doing that. So my workaround for that is we're going to do this in steps. So today is going to be the tutorial to show you how to prep your window. Thank you, April. It's the 7th, y'all. 7th is when I'm doing mine. So Jingle and Mingle is the 6th and the 7th. And the schedule for that is in the Jingle Mingle Facebook group. Look in the guides, GUIDES, and you're going to see the schedule of when everybody is. And if you're watching me from the Jingle Mingle group, I would love to know. You can put it in the comments. Just say Jingle or something like that, and I'll know you're watching me from there. It's a free event, and it's going to be a whole lot of fun. All right, so the steps that I'm going to show you work whether you're doing the 9 by 12 or the 12 by 12. Same steps. You're just going to have more real estate, more room to play on the 12 by 12. If you do the 9 by 12, you don't have as much extra room. Hey, Cheryl, it's good to see you. April, I'm pretty sure mine is at noon. I need to verify that. I think it's at noon on that Friday. It's either noon or 1 o'clock, but I think it's noon. All right, so this gives you a visual of how much is going to show around here, okay? You can choose to cover the entire 9 by 12 surface, or you can just cover the parts that are going to show. I would encourage you to go ahead and cover most of it, because see, when you look at the side angle, you can still see some of those cobblestones, and you still see some of the bricks on there. And you see those cobblestones. So I would encourage you to cover most of it. The only reason I didn't is I wanted you to be able to see how we're making it interchangeable. And I also had to do some markings to try and find where I wanted to put my riser. Okay, so I'm going to get ready to show you how to do this. So this part of it is super duper fun, because you can use all kinds of stuff for your wall. And remember, I'm calling this the wall. Hey, Adrienne, I'm glad you're here. She's always helping me out, especially with stuff when I need links and stuff. But I think I got the links in here. Okay, so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you how to do it on a 9 by 12 surface, simply because that's the standard size that we put in the kit. And it's super duper cold, and I didn't go down to the warehouse to get myself one of those canvases, but I do have this. I want you to see it. this is a Canson watercolor pad, and it happens to be 9 by 12. So we've talked about this before in Creative Hearts because it can feel a little bit daunting with this because it's a white page. And so one of the ways you can overcome that is to work out of a sketchbook or like a pad of watercolor. So if you feel a little nervous about it, practice first and pad a watercolor. Yes, April, it is at noon Central Time. Yes. And Marla asked, are these going to go in the hub if we bought the kit? Yes. Yes. Okay. So the first thing that you're going to need to do is think about your surface. So if you purchased the kit, you would have received paper. I love old book pages. I have lots of books, and you would have received some book pages. I think there's 4 book pages in the kit, and you can use it as your base. That's what I'm going to use with mine. And then you also received bits of scrapbook paper, and so I selected those according to what coordinates with these colors that we're using in our painting. So it's all color coordinated. All right, so let me see if I can show you my tabletop, and then I can tell you how we're going to make the bricks and the cobblestones, and we're going to prep our wall. I haven't thought of a better name to call it other than the wall. All right, here we go. All right, so with this project, you can decide really what you want to use as your adhesive to apply your pages. I feel like something is not quite right. I can't tell what it is. Can y'all see that okay? I really like to use glue sticks. I like the Pritt glue sticks. I don't know if y'all have ever used those or not. You can absolutely use Mod Podge. You could use matte medium. You could use gloss medium. Lots of things you can use to apply your papers. So basically, you just need to get what you want to use. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to fold that crease because I'm going to try and do it so I don't overlap. I need to see where that crease is. Okay, that helps me see. All right, so the first thing you're going to want to do is just kind of look at your book pages and decide how do you want to do your layout. And I'm going to need a couple more pages. You should also have a hymnal page in there. So all of these book pages that we have are, they're the real thing. And most of them are 30, 40 years old. Some of them are even older than that. So I'm saying this because it's okay if you want to copy this page, make a copy of it and keep your original book page, and then you can use it more than once. I don't do that because of the copyright restrictions. Well, this is copyright 1921. So this one's 100 years old. The copyright is over 100 years old. But I just try and send the original, and then you can decide if you want to make a copy or not. I have found a couple of people say that theirs looks like the real thing by making a color copy. You know, your paper makes a difference also. You can use a good quality. I try and get the brightest white that I can find. Epson has a good one. HP, I think it's HP 32 is a good one. There's a third one. I need to write these down so I can remember. But if y'all have suggestions of paper, especially those of you who do printables, you can make a recommendation if you want to. You could use cardstock. Just try and get it as bright white as you can, and you're going to have the best. You're going to get it as close to the original as possible. Another option is using an off-white paper, and then it's going to look old. So I also like it when there's a variation in the color. So if you look at this, this book page, and I don't know the age of this one, but I can tell it's pretty old. You can tell by the color. You can tell by the edge of that paper, the way it's turning. It's a different color. It's a little bit darker than this one. I like that. I don't like to be matchy-matchy. I like for things to be a variety. So look at your book pages. That's your first step, is to look at what you have to work with and then decide, is there any part of this that you want to stand out? So for example, just say we were going to do this hymn. Usually, if I'm using a hymnal page, I will usually put them around the border. I'll cut it up by each of these different stanzas and put it around the border so all of it shows up. Or if there's certain parts of this, like this part, wonderful, wonderful Jesus, you could cut this section out and you could have this so it's more prominent. Another way is I like Marla's copy and grayscale might look cool. I think so. Yeah. I always like to read over the page and see if I see something on here that I really like. And if I do, what I will do is I'll circle it or highlight it or something like that, because I'm notorious for using something that I wanted to save part of it. So that just helps me to just look through there and look, is there something in here that I want to pull out? And just say, for instance, this part right here, I just saw it where it, but this is God. Something that simple. I could circle that. I could cut that out. And this could be one of the bricks that we're going to make. So that's just an idea for you. All right, let me get one more page. And because of time, I'm not going to do that with mine. I'm going to get some of these older pages that I feel pretty sure are not going to have anything special with it. Like this one is, this might be a book about, playing bridge. This one's a really old book also. And I love the way this is torn. And I love the way that's kind of discolored. I even like this. So I'll usually kind of work that into the design. All right. So what I'm going to do, I'll even use, and we will use, I'm going to use some of this brown paper, and I can cut this up and use it for some bricks. So the first step in doing this, y'all, is to go ahead and put your background, your very bottom layer. Think of it like that. And to speed things up, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use some of these pages that I'm not concerned about saving something special with it. And I'm going to go ahead and get my glue out. I'm going to use this Pritt glue stick. And this is another option, y'all. I like to use this also. But again, you could use Mod Podge. If you prefer Mod Podge, use your preference. I guess what I'm trying to say. And then go ahead and get your pages down. And I'm just going to work in a section at a time. I'm just going to work on the top half to start with. And I'm going to go ahead and put some on this page. And just going to line it right up to the page like that. And I like that edge, so I think I'm going to see if I can tear that and use it somewhere else. See, even that is useful. Even that. And I'll show you in just a second. I have a little, I don't know what you call it. It's just a little organizer, and I've got all kinds of little scraps and bits in there. So that's an idea also. Hey, Kimberly. Okay, Jonette, if you get hymns in public domain, you don't have to worry about copyright. Yes. That's a good point. All right, so I'm going to tear some of these pieces off. You don't have to do that. I just have an idea for it, so I'm going to test it. All right, so now I'm going to put a little bit more on this so that this kind of overlaps. Let's see. I think I'm going to do it like that. Yeah. Okay. So the biggest part of this is just putting it down, because we're going to have several layers to this. It's not a big deal, as if I've made things before where it was really important for the bottom layer to be smooth and wrinkle free. But with this project, it's okay, because this is supposed to be an old house. This is an old house. And so I'm even going to let some of that go off the page. We're going to give the illusion, that's the word I was trying to think of, that this is an old house. That's one of the fun things about art, is you can take things and repurpose them and give them new life. Like most of the books that I have, all of the books I have actually, people were getting rid of them. So, we're giving them new life. And even with the hymnals, and some of y'all may have heard this before me tell this, whenever I first started using the hymnals in my work, I had done a piece and had it displayed at a craft show. And I remember just seeing repeatedly people stop and look at it and read the words, y'all. And several said, "Where is this from? What is this?" I said, it's a song out of a hymn book. And they had never heard it before. They didn't, so you never know who might look at something that you take for granted and be in awe of it. So, all right, so I'm going to put this piece right here. I wanted a little bit of a different color. All right, so I'm just going to tear it. This is an old dictionary page. I love old dictionaries. Do y'all like old dictionaries? I have a fascination with words. I love to look up words. And I did a series, I've done quite a few series of word art, where I would letter the word and then turn each of the letters into something. Okay, so there is my first layer. And what I like to do, put the lid back on that, is take like a card, or you could use a brayer, just something, just to go over it, just to make sure that I've got it down and I don't have any, I don't know, just to be on the safe side. Okay, so there I've got it. See, that wasn't hard. Okay, so then the next step is take your square and go ahead and decide where you want to place it. All right, so here's what I want you to see. Because I love dimension, so I designed this so that the shutters kind of hung over the edge of this, because that's just one more way to give the illusion of dimension. Okay, so let me find my square. Where is my square? I get all my stuff pulled out and I can't find anything. Well. I had my little square. There it is. It's behind the paper. All right, so this is my blank one. This is the one that I'm going to use with our project. Okay, so this gives you a visual. Let me make this up a little bit higher. I want you to see the whole thing. Usually I want you to see something close. You like dimension too, April? I do too. All right, so that lets you see the whole thing. And for those just joining, it's 12 inches tall and 9 inches wide. This is the actual thing that we're going to be using for that wall. This is a 9x12 canvas, but I told them it was so cold I didn't want to go down there and get me one. So I'm using my notepad, which is also 9x12. Okay, so you can decide, like, do you want your window to be up taller, and then you could have extra space at the bottom? That would look good. Like, it could be almost like a 2-story house, and you could have your bricks and cobblestones down here. And another cool thing, if you did it that way, you could actually take, like, the name of a hymn or one of these stanzas and put it right there, and it would really stand out. That's an idea. Or you can do it so it's more centered, top to bottom. It's really up to you. There's no right or wrong way to do it. You could have it down low if you wanted to. So that decision is yours. So I'm going to have mine a little bit higher for this one, so that it'll give me a little bit more room to show you how to do the bricks and the cobblestones, because they're a lot of fun. And for those of you that did the Abide door with me, it's around that same way. All right, so one thing that I want to do is I want to mark where I want the window to go. So I'm just going to measure this a little bit. With the first one I did, there was a lot more math than I really wanted to deal with, but I did it. Okay, so that's 1.5. So if you can go ahead and measure it to start with. See, I did not do that to start with, and it was hard getting my my risers lined up. So I would encourage you, before you start with the next step, go ahead and decide where you're going to put your 8x8, and then measure it. And I would even jot it down, unless you have a better memory than I do and you can remember all of that, because it will make a big difference whenever you start doing your riser. So I'm coming up 2.5 inches. You should have seen me trying to figure this out with the first one. All right, so I'm going to write down 1.5 down and 2.5 from the bottom. Okay, and you'll see why later. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and trace around my square, and that way I can tell my working space. Yep. Okay. Well, I didn't think about it either, Sherry, until I had such a hard time getting my risers placed on my display one, and thought, oh, girl, you should have measured this first. All right, so there it is. I was going to say, now I can't even see it. So there's where my line is. Now, remember I said I would recommend going ahead and doing inside of this, but you don't have to do all the way inside. So I'll just go ahead and tell you what my problem was. This might help you to know. So I painted mine, and I found the center and measured over from the center on where to glue my risers. Okay, so then the next thing I did is I thought, oh, this is easy. But it wasn't easy, because I had one riser up higher than the other riser, and I didn't know that. So I had to pull it off, line it back up, trying to get it level. And I didn't have it traced off. I didn't realize I needed to do all that. So finally, after that, what I did is then I found the center of my square, and I lined it up to be the center of my board, so that my center's lined up. And I knew that if this was my center, I needed to come over this far. And this is my center. So I needed to go over the same measurement that I did on the back side. Did that make sense? Okay, so that solved that issue. But what I kept being off on is one being higher than the other. So that's mainly where your math is going to come in, because unless somebody can come up with a better way to do it. So like, I know this is where the top of it was. So you want them to be level at the top also. So I just had to figure out how to do the measurements. But what I realized is I wished I had decided beforehand, where did I want that window to be? Okay, so I hope that didn't totally confuse you. All right, so now your next thing is to start sketching out some bricks. And see, I want mine to look old. So you could do it with a pencil. You could use, and I don't have it right here, if you have a Stabilo pencil or a brown watercolor pencil, you could use that. If you have a brown or red Neocolor, you could use that. So I'm going to do the bricks, and I think I'm going to do it up here. Where's my ruler? All right, so this is an old building, so it doesn't have to be perfect, okay? This is a water-soluble crayon. So all I have to do is add water to it, and it kind of washes away. All right, so I'm just going to have 3 rows of bricks right there. So this is the fun thing. So you can come right here, come here, come here, and come right here. And then I'm going to stagger this, come here, like that, and stagger that, and stagger that. I'm not going to let it go all the way over, just because most of the old buildings that I saw, the bricks were just kind of scattered. So I'm going to save this part over here to do some of my cobblestones. Or I could take, these could be my painted bricks, and these could be my fabric or scrapbook paper pieces right here. So many options. So first, let me show you how to do the painted brick. So I'm going to put some brick there, and then I want to come down here and let me measure this off. I'm going to do some lower bricks on the opposite corner. So just think about it. Just think about how you want to do yours. You could get on Pinterest and look for some inspiration photos of old windows, Tuscany style, old farmhouse. It really just depends on what your style is. There's so many things to choose from. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to kind of sketch it out. Then I'm going to stagger it, stagger it, stagger it, and then come down, come down, come down. Okay, can y'all see that? So this is the first row, and I just kind of spaced them out. Then the second row, stagger a brick, stagger a brick, stagger. Then this one kind of lines up with that. Okay, so this is just a little bit of the framework just to get me started and just start seeing things come alive. Okay, so now what I want to do is get my paintbrush, and with this, you could use, like if you have a filbert, you could use a filbert. You could just use a simple water brush. You don't need a great big brush. Like this is what I'm talking about with a water brush, just like that. You're going to want some clean water. Let me get my water. And I'm going to get my palette. I'm going to do this so you can see how it works. So I'm going to start with the burnt orange up here at the top. And you don't need a lot of water. You don't need a lot at all. So you wet your brush, and then blot it just a little bit, and then look at how that just magically appears. It's just gorgeous, isn't it? So it doesn't take much. That's all it takes. So then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of run it across. Let me make it closer this time. Hold on. So you can see. This might jar you just a second till I get it down. This camera does not zoom. I have to manually do it. That's okay. We can work with that, can't we? Okay, can you see that better now? And I got to come out of this jacket. I was freezing and now I finally feel warm. Okay. How cold is it where y'all are? Okay, so look how when I did that, I left some of the book paper color. I didn't fill that whole brick in. You can, but I kind of did it that way just to give one more illusion of that it's older and it's probably kind of beat up a little bit. Maybe part of the mortar is cracked and fallen off, just giving the illusion that this is really old. And I really wish that I had my Neo color because I'm going to use that with the bricks. I think it's on my other table, so I might get up and get it in just a second. All right, so there's one layer right there on the bricks. See that? Now, with this being paper, this is old book paper. And one of the reasons I love using it is it works well with watercolor. But one thing about it is you don't need to put a lot of water on this because it does absorb really well, but this paper is super thin, so it's not able to absorb a lot. So you just want to work in layers, kind of like I just did there. See how I put one little wash of color down and I let it soak a second or two. And then I'm coming back now to where those two bricks join together. And I'm adding a little bit more color, just a little bit, and I'm pulling it across. Isn't that a fun effect that it gives it? So then on this side, I could come back across this way. You could even, if you wanted to, you could get real creative with this. Let me do this one as an example. Let's make this one a broken brick. You know, that brick is so old, it just broke. Your artwork is like, you can use your artwork to tell a story. I do it every day, and I think you probably do also. You just probably don't realize it, but your artwork can tell a story. So this is given the story that, wow, this is really old. Okay, so there's that row of bricks. So now I'm going to come down here and do this down here at the bottom. And I'm going to do the same thing. So if you missed the first time, you're just putting a light wash down in that little rectangle. And you don't want a lot of water. So like I dipped my brush and then I blotted it off. I needed just enough water to activate that paint. That's about all I needed. And so we're doing just a really light wash. And because I used a water-soluble crayon, they're called Neo colors, they move with water. So that crayon is not even permanent. It's going to move. And I want it to do that. I want it to blend in. So in your kit, you're going to have a red Neo color. I think it's scarlet. I think that's the color we put in there. And it's going to work really well with this burnt orange. Just getting a little bit of color. And I'm just lightly touching it. The way I describe it is like if you had a little 3-year-old and you're going to tickle the bottom of their feet. You know, it doesn't take much to tickle them. You can almost tell them you're going to tickle them and they start giggling. So it's just a super light touch. That's all. A lot of y'all have grandchildren, don't you? Grandbabies. You know what I'm talking about. What did I use, Jennifer? I used a Neo color. Let me look to see the name of it because I don't even know the name of it. If you had a brown Stabilo pencil, that would work because those are also water soluble. This is the one that I used. This is called Indian Red, and it's Neo Color 2. So, all right, y'all hang on just a second. I'll need to grab this. Okay. I found my little Neo color. All right, these are my water-soluble pencils, and there's my little Neo color. So this is what's in your kit. That one's not even been used. Here's the broken one. Even when they get broken, they're fine to use them. I also like to use, these are the, they're Coran d'Ache. It's a, is it French? I think it's French. Art company, then they make wonderful supplies. So these are Supra color pencils. They're like a watercolor pencil. See that little brush symbol? That means it's water soluble. This color is sepia. Adrienne, if you're still here, did we put a pencil in there? I can't remember. Van Dyke brown is another really good brown. So I want to show you. Okay, April just got some. Good. The difference in these and just regular watercolor pencils, I think, is just the pigment. It's just richer and more vibrant. Okay, so this is not totally dry, so it's not really doing, I mean, it's working, but it's not making a great big contrast in this. If we did not include these in the kit, we've got them in our shop, and we'd be happy to mail some to you. Okay, look at how simple that is. See there? Okay, green. Okay, green. The green we're going to use in the window part. Thank y'all. If you travel or you like something portable, and I recommend doing that because you're going to be more likely to use your creativity, because remember, your creativity is a tool and it's a very precious gift. So it's a precious gift that you can use as a tool to help you. And whether it's helping you to make something beautiful for your home or make beautiful gifts that you share with others, or to help you process things that are going on in your life. If you're in a hard season of life, and many of you are, I know that, this is a good way to help you relax and unwind, especially if you're not trying to be perfect. Now, if you're trying to be perfect, it kind of defeats the purpose of being a stress reliever, because you can't be perfect. There's only one perfect one, and that's Jesus, and nobody else is going to be able to be perfect. So it's just going to be defeating, and you're not going to enjoy your art. Okay, so now here's what we want to do. Where's my square? I may have to use this as my, okay, so I did good on, you can't see it because I moved it up. I moved it down. Hold on. All right, so see what I did? I put it on here just for placement so that I could see what in the world is going on. Y'all? Okay. Okay, good, Sherry. I'm glad the red is in there because I don't have any reds yet. Yes, and it's a good red. I mean, it's not like there's a bad red, but it's a versatile red. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say. it's not a purple red or an orange red. It's versatile. I'm trying to get this so it's square, but oh well. Okay, this gives you an idea of how this is going to look. Isn't that cool? Okay, so this lets me see. I think I want one more brick right here. I want this to look like this poor house is falling apart. Okay, so I just did that with my pencil. That color is sepia. These pencils are awesome. Okay, so there I've got that on there. I'm going to let that soak in. And we're going to come back and use the red. Let's see if this is dry enough to do that. Let's see. See, you can kind of, oh yes, look, 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 look. You're going to love this. Hang on. Hold on if I just don't drop my crayon. I'm looking at a different camera, getting a different camera because this one's about to drive me crazy. All right, can y'all see that now? Okay, good. So see, we gave you a pencil and a crayon. All right, so look at what I'm doing. Turning it on its side. And you remember how I said in this project, it's okay if your paper's kind of rough because that gives you some texture. And one of my Creative Heart ladies, she said, could we use things to give us more texture? I said, absolutely. So you could even use like modeling paste or the matte gel. I mean, we could go all out on this wall. I mean, really, we could. All right, see how that just adds even more definition to it and interest. See, we're not doing it just one shade because if you think about it, bricks are not, unless they've been painted, they're not just one solid color. There's variations in them. And we're being intentional with the variations that we're using with the bricks. And you'll see whenever we do our window together, it's going to pull all of this together because we're using some of these same colors just in different quantities in our window. And that's how we can make a nice completed piece. Okay, so there's the pencil or the pen. I used the brown. It's not in your kit. You've got a green one in your kit, but this is what a brown will do. All right, now let me bring it back up because now, how am I doing on time? Okay, now let's talk about the other bricks and the cobblestones. So if you notice, let's see which one I did it on. This one. Let me get this. I had some scrapbook paper and I just chopped it down into little brick sizes, and they're all different. And I added a different color brick over here, and I love the way that looks. See, it's got some gold in there. Yes, absolutely, the painter's putty. Yep. There's, y'all, I really think you're gonna have fun with this. This is brown paper bag, and I tore it in odd shapes because this is supposed to be a cobblestone. This is some scrapbook paper, and I just tore it. I was not neat with it intentionally. See how it's got the white around the edge? That gives the illusion that it's just not a flat piece of paper. It in itself gives that look of it's rounded. Here's some over here that I just tore those and put it down, and there's the brown. So let me take the last few minutes and show you how you could make some yourself. And if I remember, so you could use the Pritt glue to glue those pieces down. I think that I used my Fabri-Tac. I think that's what I used. You could absolutely use Mod Podge. You could use the super heavy gel. And I'll probably do that on a couple of places here. See how it looks like, I almost looks like divinity before you get it whipped up. It dries clear, so you can add color to it, and it looks really neat. All right, here's my paper. I was like, where is my paper? Okay, so like this is a scrap. That would work really well as some bricks. Let's do that. Let's do a few paper bricks. So what I have a tendency to do is I'll usually do some at the top and some at the bottom of whatever it is I'm doing. Or if I'm going down the sides, I'll do some on each side. One side might get more than others. This is an example of that paper that I used to tear. I tore it like this. See that? And attached it. So what you're going to want to do is just take a minute and get your cobblestones torn out or cut out, whichever you're going to do. And I kind of like to go with odd numbers. So like even this could be a brick. I mean, seriously, even this. So this ought to make your heart excited. Like, oh my goodness, I have all these scraps. I know what I'm going to do with it now. This is some old paper. It's a different paper than that. I could use this. This is scrapbook paper. This is a napkin that I found at TJ Maxx. Let me use a little piece of this too. I'll use Miss Tracy's trick with the spit. Still not. Here, let's do this. I'm trying to work fast. I have a hard time doing that because I want to show you all the things. Here we go. Don't throw this part away because you can use this too. You can use this too. Okay, Laurie's got a stencil. Bricks I can use with modeling. Oh, yes, that would be so pretty. Give it a try, Laurie. I think you're going to love it. Okay, so let's get started. So what I want to do is I'm just going to kind of look at this to kind of see how I might want to do some of this. All right, where's my stuff? You can decide because I'm trying to work faster because of time. I'm going to use my Fabri-Tac and glue my stuff down just because it's faster. But I want you to see this part. You know how I told you to let some of it overlap, but you need to be able to see where to do your placement. So you just have to kind of balance it, I guess, as far as overlap it enough, but then leave yourself enough. Oh, I wanted to do the other side. Doggone it. It's okay. I have a hard time talking and doing this at the same time. Oh, that wasn't glued down. I have a thing with numbers. I'm just going to tell you. I got a thing with numbers, so I don't like covering my numbers up. I like numbers. Okay, so I'm not going to cover up my number. Okay, see how I'm kind of creating a pattern? And I'm kind of grouping it so that they're almost together by color families. I like to organize my colors. So, so these kind of a bluish green, it's like a sea foam. They're kind of grouped together right here together. And now I'm intentionally overlapping. I don't think you can see my pencil mark, but I can tell that I'm overlapping a little bit. And that's what I need to do. I need for it to overlap. All right. So what I might do with this little piece of napkin, let's see. Yeah, that'll work. And fill in that little spot and then tear it. But I still want some of my wall to show through also. So it's all about finding balance. But isn't it like that? Isn't that how life is? Look at that pretty piece. So I'm going to put that right here. So All right, so now let's go down to this corner. We're working in the opposites, and let's put a few bricks down. I'm going to use there's another number. And I forgot to look at these words to see if there was any of those words I wanted to save. Oh, well. Oh, well. I think this one's a good one to put right here because it ties in the oranginess of this. And then we're also, see, I'm not covering, if you notice, I'm not covering every square inch of this because we're going to come back and we're going to add some more to this. Oh, that's good to know, Tracy. She stamps on the back of her napkin scraps, y'all. I saw somebody else using the back piece, and they were running it through their printer and printing on it. I've never tried that. I have a tendency, because I like to paint, I'll work with stuff like that for a little while and think I could have painted this in this time. So I'm not real patient with stuff. So I'll have more of a tendency to try and paint it. All right, so now I want to come up the side just a little bit, and I'm going to stop because I want to show you now how to add some color, and I think you get the idea. Okay, where's the lid? Y'all, I didn't have my lid on this thing, and it spilled out. Oh my goodness, I had a mess. Okay. Even this would be neat. See that? Oh, I need to use that. Look at that. I couldn't have made that way if I tried. All right. I know I said I was about to stop, but I got to get this down because I love that piece. I think it was Marla that told me to add the acetone to my glue to thin it out, and it worked, Marla. Glad you told me that. I don't have as much experience with a lot of the crafting supplies that y'all have. I have more experience with the art mediums and those things. So I'm always open for input. Okay. All right, get down, little fella. Okay. I said that like 500 times, haven't I? Okay. All right, now I think we put this in there too, y'all. This is sewing pattern paper. This works really good as a layer. Look at that. Isn't that pretty, the way that layers up? So you could use this also. Now, where's my paint? So you also have this color. Let me show you what this color does. This is Tiger's Eye. Oops. Turned upside down. These are all Daniel Smith. These are artist grade. Look at that shade of brown. Isn't that pretty? Okay, so what I'm going to do with this, and you could do this with a pencil, a marker, but I want to do it with the watercolor so you can see the effect. Let me hold this up so you can see. All right. See how I added it right there to the edge? I'm just adding it to the edge and right up under there. And it just gives it the illusion of a shadow. See how that kind of looks like a shadow? And then I can do it around my cobblestone. And if you have one of the pencils, the brown, the Supra color, or the Stabilo, they work well for this too. So I'll show you how to do it with a pencil in just a second. Okay, so see, it just gives it a nice effect. All right, so let me get my pencil. So if you were using the pencil, so you would just kind of scribble over it like that, and then you would add your water to it, and it activates the pigment. and causes it to look like watercolor. The only thing is if you have some adhesive on there, it's going to kind of repel the watercolor. It's just going to repel it. All right, now there's one more thing that I wanted to show you. This is scraps of ribbon. See that? And this also looks good. You could glue some of those down also. I'm probably going to watch the whole process before I start. Yeah, I think that's great. So I'm glad you brought that up. So what Marla's saying is because we're just doing this. So, okay, so April has the black Stabilo. If y'all have never used those Stabilos, they're pretty awesome. They're a good tool to have in your toolbox. I like the brown and the black. They're very intense, but they can be watered down. So look at here. I'll put that right there. See that little, well, I can't see it very well, but it's got a little frazzled edge to it. All right, so I know I need to wind this up, but let me show you this, how it's going to come together. Where's my window? All right. There you go. Does that help you to see how it can fall in place? So if you don't like the brick and you want more cobblestone, then swap this up and have more cobblestone. And it doesn't matter what side you're doing it on. I didn't have a rhyme or reason at all on why I did it that way. And if you have the red neo color, you could sketch the bricks out with the red neo color. And if you do that, you're going to get bricks that have more of the red and pink tones like this. And I love this. And so let me just do one. I know I keep saying I'm almost finished, but for real, I'm almost finished. I promise. Because I won't be able to do this part with you. We're going to be focused on the window. All right, here's my scrap. All right, so if you used the neo color to do your bricks, you would sketch it out like this. Like that. Okay. Then take some water, a little bit of water, and look. Isn't that beautiful? Such a pretty color. And then once you did that, then, and this is especially if you don't really care for the orangey color, then take your orange, your burnt orange, and add a little bit of that depth with the burnt orange. Does that help? Does anybody have any questions about it? Be happy to answer if you have any questions. And I do need to say, because we have had so many tech issues this week. I just can't even put it into words, all the different things that have been going on. So I feel like I'm off track, but today's the last day to join Creative Heart Studio at the current rate, y'all. So if you've been following along and you want to learn more, you want to join us and learn with us, I just want you to know that we want you. We want you. We've got room around our table for you. The new price goes into effect tomorrow. And the way we've got it set up, this is just a marker. This is the Fabrello brush. This is also Caran d'Ache. I think it might be sepia. It's water soluble. But we've got it set up that you get a mixed media project every month, and you get a themed lettering for Schripture Journaling. I do 4 traceables every month. one a week, so that we're writing God's word on our heart and we're improving our lettering skills. Okay, y'all. I think that's it. So let me move this. Let me see if anybody has any questions about any part of this. If you don't have the kit, the link for that is at the top. I see Esther's name. Hello, Esther. I don't see it at the top, though. Maybe that's it. Yeah, I don't see it. I'll get it. Let me see if there's any questions. I'm so glad y'all are here. If you're watching in Jingle Mingle, I want to encourage you to go to the guides and read through. There's lots of stuff that's coming your way. And I have some of the best business friends. I love them. We're a family, and it's so much fun to put this together. So y'all scroll through those guides and get to know some of my buddies. And if you look at guide number 2, you will see the listing of kits for the people who have kids. So, all right, y'all. Big hugs. Y'all stay warm. Have a wonderful weekend. And now that the power is back on, I can get some of these crazy things to calm down. All right. Thank y'all for being here. Sherry, you have a beautiful, beautiful weekend too. Thank you, Laurie. I can't wait to see what y'all make, and I'll talk to you soon.